Moving on, it sounds so simple. People say it all the time. Just let go. Move on. There's plenty of fish in the sea. But if you've ever had your heart broken, lost someone you loved deeply, or tried to walk away from something that mattered, you know the truth. Moving on is anything but easy. In fact, sometimes it feels impossible. Why is it so hard to move on? Why do we get stuck in memories, in emotions, in people who may have already left us behind? That's what we're diving into today. Not just emotionally, but psychologically, biologically, spiritually even. Because the process of moving on isn't just about forgetting, it's about grieving, healing, rewiring, and growing. And today, we're going to understand why this process takes time, why it hurts, and what we can do about it. Let's begin with one of the most basic truths. Our brain doesn't forget easily. When we love someone or become deeply attached, our brain literally forms pathways reinforced by emotions, habits, routines, and even physical contact. Love becomes a part of your identity. When that connection breaks, whether through heartbreak, death, betrayal, or simply growing apart, your brain doesn't just delete them. It reacts the same way it would to withdrawal from a drug. There's confusion, pain, cravings. And the longer and deeper the relationship, the more intense the withdrawal. That's biology, that's chemistry. It's not weakness, it's wiring. But it's not just our brain that holds on. It's our memories. And sometimes, memories lie. They get romanticized. We remember the good moments, the laughter, the sweetness. We replay the happiest parts like our brain is trying to protect us from the full weight of loss. But in doing so, we get stuck. We start asking, what if? Could I have done more? Was it my fault? And that spiral delays our healing. We can't move forward if one part of us is still living in the past. There's also the matter of identity. When you're with someone for a long time, romantically, platonically, or even in a dream you once had, becomes part of who you are. You see the world through that connection. So when that ends, you don't just lose the person or the situation, you lose a version of yourself. And rebuilding that identity without them? That's terrifying. You wonder who you are without them. You might even feel empty, like a shell trying to find purpose again. And then comes grief. Because moving on is grief. It's not just reserved for death. Anytime we lose love, a dream, or even a future we thought we were heading towards, we grieve. And grief doesn't follow a schedule. It doesn't care if it's been 3 weeks or 3 years. It hits in waves, randomly, brutally. And society doesn't help. It tells us to be strong, to bounce back, to not be too emotional. But that only makes the process lonelier. Real healing requires that we give ourselves permission to grieve fully, deeply, without shame. Another reason moving on is so hard is because of hope. Sometimes, the hardest part of letting go isn't the past. It's the future we imagined. The plans, the possibilities, the life we thought we'd share with someone. We don't just grieve what happened, we grieve what didn't. And when there's still hope, even a sliver, it keeps us from truly closing the door. We wait for closure, for an apology, for them to come back. But healing rarely comes from the outside. It has to be built from within. There's also the weight of regret and guilt. What we could have said, what we didn't do, the red flags we ignored, the words we wish we had the courage to speak. Sometimes we stay stuck, not because we still love them, but because we haven't forgiven ourselves. And without self-forgiveness, there is no forward motion. We live in a loop of what if, and that loop becomes a prison. Then there's fear. Fear of starting over. Fear of never finding that kind of love again. Fear of being alone. It's scary to think about rebuilding, to imagine trusting again. Because when you've been broken, even the idea of opening up can feel like walking into a fire. So we stay in the familiar pain instead of risking a new possibility. It's a strange comfort, the known ache over the unknown healing. But here's the truth. Moving on doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean pretending it didn't happen. It means choosing yourself again, bit by bit, day by day. It means saying, yes, this hurt me, but it won't define me. It means letting go of the story that you're unlovable or broken or too much, because you're not. You're human. And humans are allowed to feel deeply, to take time, to struggle, and to grow. And here's the beautiful part. You will move on, slowly, imperfectly, in pieces. But you will. Healing isn't linear. Some days you'll feel strong. Other days you'll feel shattered. But both are part of the process. And eventually, without even noticing it, you'll look back and realize it doesn't hurt the same way anymore. The memories are softer, the hope is lighter, and the future feels possible again. Moving on is hard because it matters, because what you lost mattered. But that's not where the story ends. The next chapter is still yours to write.